Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, yes, we would like to express a warm thank you to the expert mechanism on the right to development for inviting CETIM to deliver a statement at this panel. We have prepared a joint statement together with La Via Campesina. The dominant trade and investment regime, mainly promoted and enforced by the WTO and other international organizations and instruments, have posed continuous harm to the global peasantry and therefore to the protection of biodiversity. Since 1995, the WTO Agreement on Agriculture not only authorizes the aggressive trade policies of Western potencies, but also criminalizes market regulations and hinders public support for small-scale food producers in many southern countries. Moreover, the destruction of market regulations and the opening of markets to agro-industrial imports have been exacerbated by the proliferation of bilateral and regional free trade agreements. Such proliferation has also promoted tougher rules on intellectual property rights and reinforced corporate dominance over land by dissolving structures of collective ownership. These developments have intensified transnational corporations' control over food systems and have provoked continuous threats over biodiversity. In other words, the ongoing trend towards commodification of nature and the privatization of phytogenetic resources, what we call biopiracy, promoted by this framework, must be counteracted if we want to protect biodiversity. Biopiracy is constituted by the privatization of phytogenetic resources, for which the DNA of these resources are decoded and subsequently patented. These patents become protected by the coercive regimes of international trade perpetrated by the WTO TRIPS agreement or the International Union for Protection of New Varieties of Plants, UPOV. Hence, we have witnessed a continuing monopolization of privatized biodiversity that boosts private profit and contributes to the very destruction of ecosystems and consequently of those who live and depend on it. Furthermore, there is also the modification of living organisms through the development of genetic engineering and synthetic biology technologies, as well as the instrumentalization of digital information on genetic sequences to patent nature and control agriculture and food sovereignty. While these practices imply a privatization where corporations seek to obtain lucrative profits, leading to manipulations that can cause serious and unpredictable distortions in natural genomes, bringing unknown consequences that harm traditional and peasant food production and erode biodiversity. In the same vein, during the current COP16 held in Colombia on the Convention on Biological Diversity, we express our opposition to the biodiversity credit markets, which, as the carbon markets, lead to an increasing commodification and monopolization of the living, while promoting land-grabbing practices that ultimately result in biodiversity loss. Mr. Chair, we need a new trade system oriented towards the defense of peasants' rights, biodiversity and food sovereignty against biopiracy practices. We need a new trade system that enshrines and protects Article 9 of the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, as well as the Article 19 of the UN DROP, previously mentioned also by Geneviève. These are two pillar articles in the defense of biodiversity and peasant and indigenous peoples' traditional knowledge. We need to promote the equitable and democratic distribution of land and land reforms to increase peasant land that will be dedicated to agroecological agriculture and the protection of biodiversity. The current dominant regime, on the contrary, promotes the concentration of land in the hands of big land owners that foster only monoculture and that kills biodiversity. In this sense, we need to forge a system that prioritizes cooperation and collaboration over competition, that prioritizes solidarity over sanctions, rights over profit, and community-led initiatives over corporate control, so that ultimately this framework can support rural economies, enable diverse food systems to thrive, and ensure that the rights of peasants, indigenous peoples, workers in both rural and urban areas, and migrants are central to transnational trade. La Via Campesina affirms that social movements must aid the demise of the current coercive trade model by proposing a new framework for international trade that countries can adopt without fear of isolation. This alternative would offer a more equitable system benefiting global populations. Indeed, the UN Declaration on Rights of Peasants and Other People Working in Rural Areas, the UNDROP, and the Declaration on the Right to Development should serve as pillars for this work, so that trade can be reframed on the basis of food sovereignty, self-determination, and people's rights to a decolonized development. Finally, we call on the expert mechanism on the right to development to work with us on the conception of this new trade model by bringing inputs and insights on how the right to development framework can be a strong ally in this endeavor. Thank you very much once again for your attention.